All right. Whenever you're ready.
My name is Abeni Moreno. This is the morning you saw me. She told me she was with you the morning you saw me. I was paralyzed when she said unprotected. Remembering the day you turned around to face me unreflected, ready to violate my spirit disrespected. With arms wide open, you said, come crawl in these. And just like that, in less than 24 hours, you became a travesty. I hate that she also knows the slight gestures you make when you hold hips, when you mount thighs on your lap and you let them dip. I'm not gonna lie, I needed that pathway to the depth and rhythm of your love. And I hate that she knows how you scream from up above when the time comes. I hate that she knows the curvature of your frown and how you probably told her to take off her crown just like you did me. What do you mean, calm down? I hate that I saw her pain match mine in her eyes. I hate that she recounted your same lies. Words that you dug up from the ground like desperate weeds, gasping for air, making me pull out my hair because I know everything she's telling me is true. I feel it in my bones too. She told me details of your love with her that felt like a pole that went through the orifices of my body like Frida Kahlo in that accident in that one trolley. Bedridden and bound in casts, she found art. Decorating her pain with colors that illuminated the life she had left to live, even though she wanted to forget that part, a difficult restart. Somehow, as this woman continues to speak to me, I find strength to continue to breathe. This conversation, woman to woman, I wish did not possess the topic of what it was like to love the same man, but rather that he didn't get the privilege to touch our mountainous intricacies of our bodies and the volcanic eruption between our thighs, using us, trying his best not to die. How can it be that her tears match mine? How can it be that she held my hand in this conversation more than you ever did? Can it be that you were miles away from candid? How did I love a man who denies loving two women that gave every thought and every neurotransmission to the intentional healing of your soul? Are you that thirsty that your dick and your depression couldn't see our humanity? And when things came to light, you pled your insanity? And now because two women are beginning the sentence with woman to woman, saying sorry we didn't trust our intuition, for a sorry man who broke us both. And I could tell in our eyes that we still love him, a predictable trope. But love don't change the lies and the fucks in the kitchen and the codependent sleep, a bandage around your heart, healing for you to keep. Yeah, she told me she was with you the morning you saw me. I don't understand. How could you ever touch me?
And we're here at Kill a Poet with Miss Abeni Moreno and her poem, The Morning You Saw Me.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Y'all have no idea how hard I was working to remember. I'd be forgetting. An incredible poem. So much emotion in it. I mean, I feel like I don't have to ask, but I kind of do.
Yeah.
This is based on a true story. So someone had to come to you, woman to woman.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was approached. Definitely, woman to woman. It was decided between both of us to have a conversation, but it was a very interesting experience. And I just thought that whole dynamic, there were so many emotions, so many details, so many things that were happening, I think, between both of us. And I had to get it on paper. Yeah. I had to write something down. And I tried to explain my feelings, what I was feeling in the moment, as clear as possible. But yes, definitely a true story.
Did you share the poem after writing it shortly? Did you have to hold on to it for a bit before you had to
I shared it, I want to say maybe a month or two after it happened. Oh, wow. So
it was still real and raw and shit.
Yeah, and I'm still healing from it. And I do that poem a lot because every time I say it in front of people, every time I say it in front of an audience, I do feel like I get it out of me. I understand it a little bit better. And I heal just from people listening, for people validating my experience. Because a lot of times when you're in a relationship or you're going out of things, a lot of people, from what I've heard, from who I've talked to, don't feel heard by the partner or by the person who hurt them. So I get to be heard by other people, which is very helpful for me. So I do that poem over and over, and some people are like, "Why do you keep doing that poem?" But I think it's okay. I think it's okay to do a poem over and over because you connect with the poem and you build a relationship with it, and at the end of the day, it's for you.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Now, I do have to ask, how long ago was this?
Not that long ago, actually. I want to say, so it all went down burning in October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's. I mean, yeah. All right. The reason why I asked is because
Yeah.
I kind of want to get into the tea.
Yeah, yeah.
The whole thing. So
Please.
it's like, all right. So my because I have a ton of questions.
Okay.
So my first question, like, how long were you with this guy?
So that's the interesting part. I met this person when I was kind of heartbroken, going through a bad breakup, like right before, and so was he. And so we kind of bonded through that. He never committed to me. It was a situationship, as well as it was with the other person. Not, I don't want to say the other person because that makes it sound like that person is not important, but she is.
Right.
And yes,
Yeah.
the another woman who was in the same situation that I was in.
Yeah.
And so I obviously, there was feelings eventually, and I wanted to be with this person, and he was like, give me more time. I need more time, and let's just enjoy each other. And then eventually, I actually met this person before, and he introduced me to her as a friend, and then
damn.
and then she was also a friend. He told her I was also a friend, so we had met. We actually had a conversation, and I felt some type of way about it. I did see some type of flirtation. So afterwards, I kept asking, is this a person you're also dating? Is this a person you're also seeing? And I asked him particularly about her several times. And my argument was, if we're not together, you can be honest with me. There's no reason for you to lie. And, I'll take in that information and I'll decide what I want to do with it. And he didn't give me that opportunity, that freedom to make that decision. So eventually, at one point, I just had a strong feeling. My body was reacting. And that's another thing I've learned is over time, your body will communicate with you when it knows that it's not safe emotionally or physically. And in this case, it was emotionally.
Facts.
And my body started to reject being around him or in his apartment and things like that. When I stopped talking to him for 2 weeks, he invited me over. He lured me in with some food because he's a really good cook, and that's my weakness. They did it on purpose. Yeah, and so, but I couldn't eat though. My body didn't allow me to eat. And
Just trash that.
yeah, I just couldn't. No, honestly, it looked good. It looked good. I'm sure it was tasty, but I just couldn't do it.
Allergic to the
And he
fuckery.
was like, "What's wrong? Why can't you eat?" And I said, "We need to talk." And I just said, "Hey, I feel like you're with so and so. I just feel it. I feel it." And I was like, "So I just can't be here." And I don't know what came over him, but he decided to come clean when I said that. And he did tell me most of the truth and left a few things out, but most of the truth. And he was like, "You know what? You're right. I have been seeing this person." I asked if they were involved physically, and he said yes. And so it went from there. And then I knew first, and then he eventually told her, and then she contacted me.
Okay, so she did not know either.
No, neither of us
Do you
knew.
know if because you were having these gut feelings? Do you know
Mm-hmm.
if she was having those gut feelings too?
Yes. So she, from what she had expressed to me, it was, I think looking back on it, maybe, I don't know, I don't want to speak for her, but looking back, I felt like, damn, it was so obvious. Like, what? Like Abeni, come on. And I don't want to talk myself down, because you want to believe the person that you are involved with. You want to give them trust, unless there's something that is very tangible. I always say, oftentimes we're taught to think of something, like innocent until proven guilty. Like, we're taught to get evidence first, because if you were just to go off your intuition, then it's easy to say you're crazy. What are you saying? That's not true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Burn
And to
bridges as
push
well.
back against it, even if your body knows it's true, even if you yourself know it's true. And that's what's the difficult part, where, you tell yourself, okay, I have no evidence. There's no reason for me to be thinking like this. Why does my body keep reacting this way? Why? Maybe that person is right. Maybe I need to get myself right. Maybe it's me. Maybe I need to think differently. Maybe I need to trust more. Maybe I'm broken. And then, that self-talk and that narration goes through your head, and so you push away your intuition. Yeah, you gaslight yourself, and it's lit though by the other person. It's ignited by the other person, and so that is really difficult to come out of, and to be secure and be like, no, this is the way I feel. I don't care if it's true or not true, but this is how I feel.
How do you get to the point where you know that you could trust yourself to go, like, off, take that leap? Because I know it's like you talk to yourself and you trust your body and you feel that.
Yeah.
What's the process like in, like, is it kind of just like a leap of faith? Or do you feel like you need to be calculated about it before you, like, go in?
Right. I would say, for me, I always had difficulty with that, because I always tried to consider the other person and their thoughts and their emotions.
Right.
And I always thought, like, oh, maybe this person is correct. Maybe this person does have a point, and I want to be open to that. But from what I've learned through those similar experiences, I learned that my body is feeling something, and if I don't listen to it, I'm going to make myself sick physically. And that's the most important thing, where if I don't act on it, whether it's true or not, something is wrong. And I need to figure out what's going on with me and my body. And if it's telling me not to be here, then I can't be here, because
Snaps.
I'm going to be sick.
Yeah.
So that's more or less why I went and told him what I did, because I was like, if I don't do this, I'm gonna put my body through a lot.
Yeah. And now, okay. So, question:
Sure.
has there been a time where you decided to not listen to your body and saw the results of what could come of it?
Sure. Yeah. I think plenty of times. Unfortunately. Yeah. And so the relationship before this one, I was in an actual relationship, and when I say actual, I'm referring to labels, and because I think the situationship is still a relationship, but people are in denial.
Yeah.
So
Never heard it put that way, but that's how
I mean, you might be onto something.
yeah,
Honestly.
it's either way. I think when you are connecting with someone on a deep emotional level, physical level, no matter what you want to say about it, that is a type of a relationship. Like, point blank. So, but the relationship I had before, there was labels on it. We met each other's families. There was promises of children and marriage. And so it was a little bit deeper, and it cut deeper, I think, because of those expectations, because conversations that were had. And my body was going through a lot, so much anxiety, because that person was stonewalling me at the end. So there's no physical touch, no communication. I just thought this person was the type of person who needed their own space. So I tried to give that to them, but it ended up being a week, 2 weeks without me having any contact with them, without me knowing what was going on. And then, he didn't physically cheat on me, but he had an emotional affair with someone else and connected with someone else at work. And then, I didn't know what was going on. I had all this anxiety. I wasn't getting tangible answers from this person. So I technically broke up with him, and then I regretted it. I was like, no, don't leave me.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? Or whatever?
How long were you together, if you don't mind me asking?
So that relationship was short as well. That was just a year. However, I knew him from high school, and we were friends prior. And also we were in the middle of a pandemic, so we were very isolated with one another. So I think the relationship just felt more intense because every day we were together, in the beginning 5 days a week. And this was a person that I thought like, fuck, I hit the jackpot because he was cooking for me. He was buying me like all these gifts. I've never had a relationship like that. No offense to all my prior relationships, but yeah. And you know what? And I don't really care about material things like that. But because I had never had that before, and I was like, oh my, is this what it's like when people like you? That's what I thought was happening. And
and you didn't care about that.
Yeah. You told me you liked the pizza.
4 for 4.
Yeah.
4 for 4. Yo.
And but it did a 180. It switched, and towards the end, and I always felt very hurt that he wasn't able to come to me and be like, listen, I made a connection with someone else and I want to pursue that. And it was really hard. It was really hard. I felt very replaced. I felt very left and abandoned, and all that good stuff. And that thing where they post their new person on social media, and I was never posted. I've never been posted by a partner. So, and that was really hard for me because I remember asking that person like, hey, why don't you? And there was a kind of a roundabout answer, and it's just what doesn't matter, and so right, and and it's not like that person was hiding me because I knew all his family and his friends, and he was very public with me. He would take me out, so you put logic to it and you push it aside, and but with that said, that particular breakup, even though maybe I would argue I had loved harder and deeper before, that particular breakup was really hard for me, maybe because of the expectations, maybe because of the pandemic, maybe because of the way it ended. But that's the first time I had months and months of anxiety, of emotional pain, physical pain, to a point where I was calling my sister and saying like, I don't know what's happening. Do you think mom would help me? Like, will she take me somewhere? Can I go to a retreat? Can I go away? Because I didn't have a job. I couldn't move. I was constantly crying. I went to my friend's farm. She works on a farm in Long Beach, and I started planting lettuces, and I was like crying, planting lettuces.
Is this after the relationship or like towards the end?
After. It was
After, okay.
It was like right when
Gotcha.
everything, because I thought I fucked up because I
Yeah.
technically broke up with him, and so. But in hindsight, when I think about the lack of communication, the way he treated me, when I'm a very affectionate person and he would kind of shove me off, like all those things are very hurtful. And when you internalize that, your body keeps that, it remembers it. So
When those things happen, it's really crazy. It's really like when you're in a room and you feel the temperature change. Like it's something you can't see,
Right.
but it's just like, damn, it's a little colder in here.
Yeah.
Like is there a window? Yeah, is there a window open? Like what's going on? But yeah, that's man.
And I would say that, when you connect with someone, when you've been physically intimate with someone, when you've shared stories about childhood, when you've slept together, just sleeping together, you connect, your spirits start to connect. So when something's off, when something shifts,
Yeah.
there's no explanation for that. Or would you agree?
No,
Yeah,
totally.
totally.
Like, I mean,
For sure.
did you have any?
Thoughts on it? I mean, that's clear. Like the closer you get to someone and the time that you spend, especially if you love them, and sleeping together for sure. That's something that you don't really think about. But it's important to like take time and kind of, you know, see it from a larger scope. Because on a day to day, you can't really see how much effect that might have on you and on together. You know what I mean? Especially when you start talking like spiritual shit, like, and you start bonding on a whole different level. Like, so yeah, totally. You know.
Yeah, I know. For me, like I've had to learn that that physical intimacy isn't like something to play with. Sometimes, you know, even though that I have before, and then I've seen what the effects are when it's like, you know, you get really close with somebody in that way, and then having an emotional connection, or one person not even thinking about the emotional connection, but the other person has the emotional connection, and the amount of pain that can come of it.
And a
Like,
lot of times it just is like subconscious, like
yeah.
deeply subconscious, and so maybe one person is affected by it, or affected by it like differently, obviously, than the other. So you got to have that consideration for how that person might feel, obviously. But I feel like you just gotta like empaths understand it, but people that just don't give a shit. A lot of times it just like you're leaving hella broken pieces. A lot of times when you do that kind of shit, it's like
Yeah, and whether you are the broken piece or you're the one
right,
leaving the broken piece,
for sure,
like
for sure.
I feel like there's cost to that. There's
For sure.
consequences, you know, and it's, you know, hopefully homeboy has has it figured out now, but
Yeah.
like, you know.
Well, I guess just to, give background to where I was. So that first relationship where I actually had a label, coming out of that, I was coming out of a lot of pain, and then I met this other person who was also coming out of a lot of pain. And if I think about those two people in a very humanistic aspect, what I know about them, what I know about their childhoods, they've both been through a lot of pain and a lot of experiences that I wouldn't even know how I would feel if I went through that. And so when I'm trying to see them from a person perspective, I kind of understand how they're covering up their pain in different ways, and maybe how, even though maybe it wasn't right, but how I was used to kind of cover up that pain, and how I was also in pain when I met them, and they kind of soothed my pain a little bit too. So I try to be fair in my head on a regular day-to-day basis in that aspect, but in my poems,
Yeah.
I take out all my anger.
Going.
I take out all my anger, all my pettiness, just so I can get it out of me, and really understand that part, because that part is valuable too. So
Yeah, no, facts. I'm gonna say like one more thing. We're gonna wrap up this part, but
yeah.
okay. Well, I was just gonna say super quick. It's just like I have a friend who, like, once upon a time, you know, whatever, but like we're still friends now. But when reflecting on like our time together, and it was like high school, like, you know, type thing. She mentioned that like our wounds and our scars matched too well together, like puzzle pieces, and it like at the end of the day, that relationship, it wasn't the healthiest, I would say, but I wasn't necessarily healthy either, just like she wasn't necessarily healthy either. Like those, as you said, like sometimes when you're in pain, like there's a phrase, a misery finds company, you know? So it's like, it's really easy to lock in with someone who's also hurting, like, just as much,
Absolutely.
you know?
And for the second relationship, to put responsibility back on me, was I was very aware of the pain that he was going through. I was very aware that he was getting out of something too. I was very aware of the pain that I was going through, and I kind of knew it was probably not a good idea. You know what I mean? And so, but I do feel like there were certain moments where I was like, but it feels so good, and a little bit convincing. But that, I want to also just mention that, it is important to kind of know your own responsibility, your own participation in things, and to grow from that. And so and to be honest, it's not all on him, because even though I had tried to leave that situation several times, I was like, damn, it felt so good to fall back in. And that's the difficult part. And so if I'm being vulnerable, like if I was really like adamant about the safety of my emotions, I would not have gone back. But because I wasn't so adamant about it, because I wanted the feeling of the soothness of what it was like to be next to his body, then I just went back, and that's.
The body be keeping that score. All right. All right. Yeah. What was your question?
I want to know if the other woman in the poem has heard it. If you shared it with her, if she was at a show.
She's heard I don't know if she's heard that particular poem, but she's heard another poem, because I've written several about this situation.
Okay.
So she's definitely heard a previous poem called "Wasn't It," which I talk about like all these moments that we shared together, and some of his responses that he did when I was having conversations about our relationship. And and I bring up a situation, like one of the parts is I said, wasn't it on this couch that you told me that I've asked you about, and I put this fake name, Mariela, that I've asked you over and over if you were also seeing, also dating. And, she heard that and she was like, that's me. And I guess she had sent it to him and was like, is this about me? Like,
Holy shit.
yeah. And so it was, because it was before we had this conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, and I wrote that poem because I had just found out everything. It was like raw. It was like it was like the week after, and I put that out and I made a video to it. So my video is on my Instagram. Some dude named Chris. Chris cries continuously. Curiously, because he certainly censored conversations cunningly. Chris cries covertly, cross-eyed and cowardly, covering up his contingencies. Chris cries continuously. Cutting out his organs like a cesarean as his cervix opens up, creating credits to his movie. Chris cries continuously. Conjuring countless scenarios in his mind with clarity, climbing curvaceous mountains of beauties while soaring the sky, charming even the birds that fly by. Chris cries continuously. As he cites countries and companions he's met, clouding the perception of cohorts and crowds, remembering how he caressed each crevice of my body, Chris cries continuously. Craving what it felt like to touch my curls as it swirled around his corazón, remembering the way he treated me, cabrón. Chris cries continuously. Claiming thoughts of childhood memories while coloring corners of blank pages and melodies, Chris cries continuously. Wondering how he lost me consecutively, remembering how I cuddled up to him so gently, Chris cries continuously. Trying to crack the code to how to get back into my love, excavating poetic compositions, hoping that it'll open me back up, Chris cries continuously. 'Cause he found me ceasing to exist. Disappearing in the ground, never to be seen again, Chris cries continuously. Because I'm in heaven now, wishing he had my kiss. 'Cause kissing Chris used to be so sweet. Chris cries continuously.
Miss Abeni and her untitled poem and working title, Some Dude Named Chris. Okay, so I have to ask, because
Get into it.
like initially at the beginning of the poem, I was thinking, all right, this is someone that that constantly cries. And then at a point in the poem, I was like, maybe Chris was a name that worked best for the poem, just for the alliteration. Chris cries constantly and all that stuff.
Right.
Or continuously.
Yes.
My apologies.
No worries.
Now, my question for you is like, do you know a Chris that cries continuously?
Is he still crying?
Is he still crying right now? Like,
Yeah, he's crying right now. Actually, no, I've actually never seen Chris cry. Yeah, so it was kind of for the poem, you know what I mean? And I did kind of use his name specifically, and that line just kind of came to me. Yeah. Chris cries continuously. And even though I've never actually seen him cry, I imagined him crying for me if I was like gone, you know what I mean? And so I was like, that fool he would cry, right? He would cry. Yeah. If I wasn't here, he would cry. Like, you know, and so yeah, and a lot of people when I do that poem, they're like, "Damn, what did Chris do?" You know, and actually, Chris is a good guy. Where there's no animosity between me and Chris.
Shout out to Chris.
Yeah,
Shout out Chris.
I think he's a really good person, and I care for him a lot. It is someone I know intimately and personally, and he was somebody that's been in my life for a while now, and so the poem is a little bit about him. He travels a lot. That's why I kind of that part where he's in the sky, charming even the birds that fly by. So that it is a little bit about him, and I feel like I make him sound worse than what he is. And I kind of apologized to him about that. I was like, listen, it sounds like you're kind of fucked up, but you're not. But I'm just going to roll with it if that's cool with you.
He's heard you perform it, right? He's heard you perform it?
Yeah, and I've read it to him. So,
yeah, for sure.
But he liked it. You know, he gave me his permission to use his name. But there are specific things that are like tied to him and my experience with him. So, but he's one of the only people where I've had a person where I've had a past with that's not, we've never had like a bad, like, falling out. I've never felt disrespected by him. I've never felt like he's lied to me, or I just always felt very connected with him and felt like he's treated me well, even if we've never been in a relationship, even if we've never went to that other side, even if we had moments of intimacy and physicality and just were, you know, had like a lover's moment at a time, you know. So it's he's a very special situation, where he's one of the only people in my past where I feel like it was a good connection always. So,
yeah, no, that's like super special, and that sort of relationship is, it's rare. Not a lot of people are able to find a person that they have been able to be physical with, but come back to a place where it's like, all right, it's not even it's just, we're just friends, you know. I just enjoy your company. Like, sure, that has happened, but like, you know, like, right. I still enjoy you, you know, as a person and everything like that. And I mean, I don't want to say it's not easy to do, but it's like,
I think it's pretty tough to do, dude. Yeah. I think it's fair to say that it's pretty hard to do. That's what makes it special.
I feel like it's like it depends on the person, like and the two people. To be honest, like
right.
it really depends. Like, because it on paper, yeah, it sounds difficult to do, but if there are two people that like have the headspace for it, you know, then it doesn't feel hard. You know, it feels really easy, you know, like it's just,
see it, yeah.
You know, but it's also at the same time rare. Like, not everybody has that.
And well, to be transparent, I think I probably give him the benefit or the reason as to why we're like that, because he was very good at not letting it get too deep, where maybe I would have been more invested, and maybe it could have been a big turmoil outcome for that. So I think we kept each other at a distance enough where because we're keeping each other at a distance, it was respectful distance where our hearts didn't really get super involved with each other. Where I think if maybe we allowed ourselves to be more connected, if we allowed ourselves to talk to each other every day, see each other every day, and be more invested in each other, then yeah, I probably could have lost that relationship with him as well. And so I kind of credit him for that. We were able to kind of have that distance with each other, and we were able to leave each other in a spot where it was still respectful and be like, I'm leaving you because I like you, because I want to preserve this. And that's I think something a lot of people have trouble doing. I know I have trouble doing that. So so it is a rare connection.
Yeah, no, it is. And I mean, I don't know, speaking from personal experience, it's just like having like those specific kinds of connections is always like, it's cool because like no matter what, like even if, you know, you're going your separate ways, you're doing your own thing, like you're not even like, you're probably not even gonna be talking like that.
Right.
But then, you know, if you reconnect, it's like, oh, hey, what's up? You know, like it's like no time has passed, you know, and that's always cool to like know that like having somebody that like it will be down for you and cool with you, and it's not with any ulterior motive to like try to make anything more, because like the physical barrier has already been passed, you know?
Right,
Like
right.
that part has already happened. So it's like
Yeah.
just like, no, we're just like I just fuck with you, you know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just cool, you know. And yeah, it's cool. But I mean, I mean, as you said, you haven't seen him cry continuously.
No, actually, I've never seen him cry at all. So, and maybe in my head, like I want to see more emotion from him, and so maybe I'm putting that on him, like, you know,
Oh, shit.
Chris cries continuously.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
You'll cry when you
home.
read
Yeah.
Wait, so at what point did you write this in like through the relationship, or was it like after?
Actually, I wrote this poem recently, and Chris and I, we meet up a lot of times in between my relationships, but I don't know if he actually don't know if he's even had relationships. I just don't know that about him. But we meet up, and sometimes we talk a lot about our goals and the things that we want to do. He's a rocker. He's in a band, and so he travels to other countries a lot, to South America, Mexico, Central America, and so he kind of understands being creative and writing songs and that aspect of it. Poetry is very different. I'm not a musician whatsoever, but he understands that part of it, and I think we connect a lot on that aspect, the creativity and supporting each other in that. And so I wrote it recently, and feeling kind of just having an appreciation of who he is, and even and there's, I think, certain ups and downs with him and I as well, but it just didn't feel disrespectful, as opposed to my experiences that I've explained earlier. So, and I always felt very seen by him, even if we were never truly in a relationship, and that usually gives me an example that people can treat you with respect, even if you don't enter into a relationship. People can treat you as a human and see you for who you are, and be mindful of your emotions. They won't take advantage and put you into this deep environment and take advantage of all the love you're giving. And so I'm actually really appreciative for Chris putting that distance out there, because I do kind of feel like he was protecting me in a sense, where we're gonna create distance. I'm gonna care for you from afar. You're gonna care for me from afar. But because we know this is not gonna work out, I'm gonna make sure you are okay over here. Like, I'm not gonna continue hurting you, and that's kind of like that's kind of the least I can ask for from somebody who, if maybe, for example, if I really wanted to be with them and they didn't want to be with me, the least that I would ask from you is to have the courage to tell me, like, we need to create distance because I can't keep sitting here and putting you through this. I can't keep seeing you in pain and know that I'm a part of it. I'm a participant in it. And I try to keep that in mind for the people I'm involved with too. Yeah.
Because it's like you really, from both sides of the situation, like no one wants to be the rabbit following the carrot and the stick, and honestly, no one should want to be the carrot and the stick, like because that's just like an ego thing, like it's just feeding it, and if someone is able to see past their ego and realize like, okay, cool, this person's giving me all this attention. They want a lot more from me than I'm willing to give. Like, it's like it takes a lot to get past the ego, and it's powerful when someone is able to see past the ego and just be like, all right, no, like I can't do this. Like I actually, I like you as a person. I want to keep you in my life in some shape or form. Right. So it's best to like just keep some distance, and yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Like this is very interesting. You're talking about this because like, yeah, like
go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna leave it. I'm just gonna say you.
Okay.
I know.
Wow.
I know what you're talking about.
Is something happening? Is something happening, Isaac?
It's deeper than rap.
Should we open up the platform to
yeah.
discuss?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna keep it under wrap.
Yeah.
It's far too much at stake.
Okay,
I do want to
got
ask
it.
though. I do want to ask. Do you know if he has written any like music about you, or what is?
I don't. From what I understand, it's he doesn't write too much of the songs. He writes partial, and it's I know this is actually not the correct genre of his band, but I compare it to like a screamo band, like a screamo rock band, in Spanish, and they do like love songs.
I was gonna say there might not be a lot of love songs.
Yeah, no, they do actually. Yeah, but it's more like I think it's more intense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's not a lot of ways that you could listen to it and be like, oh, that's me.
Yeah. And I think his singer mainly writes a lot of the songs. He's written a few, but yeah, no. I don't think so though. I don't think he's ever sat down and was like, I'm gonna write something about Abeni. Like,
I was seeing some like mutual muse things going, perhaps, but yeah.
But I would I'd be flattered if he did though. I mean, like,
I'm
if he
sure.
did.
Yeah.
Get on it, Chris.
Yeah.
Hey, we started out not knowing, like when like before you shared the poem, we weren't sure. It's like some dude named Chris. Is Chris a bad guy? Do we need to stand up against Chris? Now it's like, God damn it, Chris.
Yeah.
You sound amazing.
Yeah. He's a good dude. He's a good dude, so I have nothing bad to say about him.
That's dope.
He it's funny though, cause like when I told him I was done with the poem, he's like, "Damn, does everybody hate me now?"
Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't know, maybe a few people. I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if I was a random audience member, I would be like, man, this dude Chris.
This dude.
man.
Do you explain it in like to the audience when you're
No, I
performing?
don't.
So he definitely just letting it fly. Just hoping for the best.
I
These
don't-
Muslims don't hate Chris. Like
Right, and sometimes I get women come up to me and they're like, I knew a guy named Chris, and this poem, like, I want you to do it all the time. And
That's fucking hilarious.
And
That is
I'm
really
like,
funny.
oh,
Holy
I'm
shit.
so sorry. I just kind of go with it.
My Chris is actually not the best.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah, but you can't say that when a woman is like riled up and was like, fuck these
Nah,
Chris's.
you gotta back it up,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and I was
You gotta
like,
back it
yes, well, fuck those Chris's. Fuck those Chris's. Yeah. And so.
And then you turn around and was like, yo, Chris, I'm so sorry.
I know.
I was talking so crazy
I was
shit
like,
just now, but it wasn't even real. Like, I was just supporting women. Like,
Yeah.
that's all I was doing.
I was like, I don't really mean it. Please still hang out with me. So no, yeah, that's more or less the background of it. So unfortunately, I'm creating a bad rap for him.
Yeah. Hey, no, but you are rectifying the situation.
Right.
You're setting the what's the turn of phrase? What's it? Setting the setting the record straight.
There you go.
Right.
I was gonna say you're
Ooh,
putting it on wax.
I thought I wasn't gonna get it. I was grasping.
I know, man.
I felt
You put that
something.
pressure on me. Like, what the hell? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like,
He's like, I have no idea.
I don't know.
And
You
if
put it
you
on
listen
wax.
closely to the poem, it's actually, you can hear the sweetness in it. I think you can kind of hear the sadness of it too, where like in the end, we're separated. And in a sense, that's a little bit sad.
And that's why I was like, at first, that's why I was thinking like, initially I was like, all right, like maybe Chris is like, some dickhead, right? And then by the end of the poem, I was like, I actually don't know. Like, I don't know if Chris is actually like, I feel like Chris is a device, like, for this poem, like,
Right.
And especially with
Which he is, yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah.
And like with the repetition and like how you were talking about him, I mean, especially even compared to the last poem you did, like you could feel the pain, the vitriol, the anger, in that. But there wasn't a lot of that. I mean, shit. You came out the gate with Chris cries continuously. It's just like, oh shit. Like, I mean, they don't know. Like the folks watching and listening, they don't know. But the first time you dropped that, I was so weak, like, because I was like right out the gate, Chris continuously knock it off. No I'm kidding. If you're a man, you need to cry. Please cry. Please
Yeah.
cry. We need more.
Yeah.
We need more tears.
And I wanted him to cry. I wanted him to be emotional, and then, and it's almost kind of joking, like, I want you to be emotional over me. Like, I want you to cry over me. I want you to love me and have feelings for me. And that's kind of what the poem is saying, is that, like, I'm almost like creating a spell, like Chris cries continuously over me. Yeah. And then so I'm just repeating it, Chris cries continuously. Chris cries.
Man,
And
I went from fuck Chris to Chris is not a bad guy to Chris, watch out.
yeah.
Chris, please bathe yourself in some whatever you need to bathe
He's
yourself
all,
in.
buy some crystals or something. Yeah.
Get some crystals in there.
I mean, seriously, I would never do that. But like, but it's supposed to, I guess, reflect the feeling that I had, where, over years, having a connection with someone, sometimes I think it's natural to want to be loved back, to want to have that be reciprocated. And so it's almost like, it's almost like I'm kind of joking or poking at him in a sense, where I was just like, it'd be nice if you fucking cried for me once, just one time, just give me a tear, and so that poem, if you listen closely, it's a little bit more playful, and it's lighter, and there's sweetness to it, to the connection, even though we end up separated, even though we end up with a disconnection. And I put myself in a whole other realm. I put myself in heaven, and he's on earth. So so we're in completely different worlds a lot of the time. But, even in heaven and earth, you can connect sometimes, even with people who've passed, and have a connection with them. And that's kind of how I see us, in a sense.
That's real.
Yeah.
Hey, so I think we're gonna actually wrap this up. Miss Abeni, thank you so much for sharing your pieces. Do you have anything to plug where people can find you?
Yes, I would like to say two things. I am doing some projects that are going to come out soon with my illustrator. He goes by L Ohms. And so please check him out on Instagram again. So it's like _L_Ohms. And he's an amazing animator, illustrator. So I really want people to check him out. And him and I will be doing some stuff with poetry soon. And then you can follow me if you want to at Itza Luna, and that's spelled IZ like zebra, TA Luna, LUNA. My name's Abeni, that's spelled ABENI, and you can follow me on Instagram, and I would love to connect.
Yeah, very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, as always, I'm Young Toledo,
Colo.
and it's been another immaculate episode of Kill the Poet. We out.
Says